I am not a horsepower person. I much prefer driving feel over straight line speed. That's why I prefer something like a Lotus Elise or a Mazda Miata over a big old American muscle car or a top fuel dragster or whatever. But horsepower is, I will concede, a key part of cars. And what a lot of car manufacturers that aren't American, because Americans are rubbish at this, tend to focus on is getting the most amount of horsepower out of quite a small engine. This is called horsepower density. Typically, high horsepower density has only been the reserve of hot hatches, because they have small engines, 2.5 litres at most, usually around 1.6 or 2 litres. But they have a lot of power, usually aided by a turbocharger. High horsepower density is very, very rare in super hypercars, but not impossible. Recent years there's been the Ferrari SF90 Stradale, very power dense 4 litre V8. That does not include the hybrid system, by the way, just going to point that out before people start complaining. But before it, there was a much less well-known car manufacturer with a very high horsepower dense car. This one was not a 4 litre, it was a 5.8 litre. But it was actually more powerful than the SF90's petrol engine and electric motors combined. 1,160 bhp. Or, to put it this way, very nearly as powerful as what was then the fastest car in the world, the Bugatti Veyron Supersport. It was the Zenvo TS1, a car known for being really good as a car, you know, powerful, fast, light, agile, grippy, and fun all in one, but not too reliable. In its Top Gear review, the front right headlight fogged up, and another thing which I can't remember, which meant they actually had to send it back to Zenvo. Then Zenvo fixed it, so it came back. They carried on reviewing it. It caught fire. So Zenvo went back to the drawing board and made the TSR, a sort of much more stripped out race version. Wasn't even road legal, but 250 kilos lighter and with more downforce. And then Zenvo made a road-going version of that, the TSR-S, complete with the iconic tilting wing. I reviewed the TSR-S in CDT a while ago. I will link the video. Check it out, it's quite good. And I used to drive the TSR-S a lot, but recently it got removed. So how does this exist in the game then? The TSR-GT, one of the 3 TSR-GTs to be precise. There's only 3 TSR-GTs, which are essentially much more civilized versions of the TSR. This time more powerful though. Well, basically, there's a thing. If you hadn't noticed already, this car says Zenvo on its wrap. Now, this shouldn't be possible. Zenvo is a brand. And, you know, can't use brands without a license. Even brand names, which is why the real models of cars in CDT never had things like... Is the logo on here? Just about you can see it. Never mind. You could also see the real Zenvo on the back of the car. So, how come CDT had to remove the TSR-S, but then on the same weekend added another Zenvo? This time with the Zenvo name plastered all over it. Well, that's because they didn't add one Zenvo. They added 2. Technically 3. There is the TSR-S, which I'm driving right now. The not the TSR-S, the TSR-GT. The TSR-GT Foxy Edition. A Robux only version with unique decals, light colour, wheels, etc. and the Aurora Agil, something I know nothing about. So how can they do that? Well, I'll tell you why the original Zenvo had to go. Because real Zenvos are in the game. Zenvo has been officially licensed by car dealership Tycoon and Foxy. This is big news. We've had a licensed car before, technically 12, but everyone forgot about them. Which is even more ironic because you can get them right now. The Monster Jam special event cars. But none of them have been an actual proper car brand. Driving Empire did this a while ago, and that meant that it's had a big knock-on effect on all of Roblox, and everyone hated them. But now Foxy's done it. And it's the best thing ever. We can finally return to normality. If the more licenses Foxy gets, the more we can return to original CDT. But there is only one Zenvo that you can get normally. The other two are locked in a car pack, and it's really annoying, especially since it costs 3,000 Robux. But it does come with some benefits. If I just actually find them. You get 2 wraps for the Aurora Agil, enough money to buy the most expensive car in the standard shop, but also you can use these Zenvos and put them in the brand new museum. I will go over to my dealership and show you the museum. It's this little building here. Complete any dealership by 50% and unlock this. It's not a museum, it's actually a showcase garage it's called. You can showcase some cars, and this gives you a 10% cash boost for each car you've got on show. Which means that with all 5 slots filled, because 3 of them are Zenvo exclusive, you get a 50% cash boost. Now this is the most add-in bundle. This bundle has the most add-ins of any bundle ever in CDT. But is it worth it? Not for £3,000. So this is the most important car in Car Dealership Tycoon to date. It's also one of the fastest. 263 miles an hour puts it in a similar speed range to the Rimac Navira, which was at one point the fastest car you could get in the shop. That was in the middle of all the removals because of licensing problems. Hopefully, because of these licensing problems now slowly vanishing, maybe, just maybe, we could perhaps get some proper models back. Either way, I'm going to enjoy putting my foot down in this Zenvo. Now, the TS1 had 1160 horsepower. This has about 200 horsepower extra. Because, you know, 1100 horsepower isn't nearly enough. And yes, that does mean it's quick. Stupidly quick. I am genuinely shocked that this is a standard car. It made me double check whether it was standard or not. Although ironically, in an earlier take of one of the shots, the first shot, I'd accidentally left it upgraded. Fortunately, my camera broke, so, worked perfectly. Cornering, however, is interesting. Whereas the TSR-S was really, really good in the corners, nice and balanced, thanks to the tilting rear wing, which you could always feel. This one is a little bit more interesting. It's not bad, per se. Sure, it does reach the limit of grip quite quickly, but the chassis is intuitive, and yeah, it's not half bad. The problem is the suspension that you get it on. I drive all cars at this level, bog standard. Now, I hate to say this, but that does include suspension, just so that I don't muck it up. I actually don't mess with the suspension on any car. But, I kind of wish I could lower the suspension on this one, because I can't recreate it, but earlier in the video, I'm not sure if it was in one of the scrap takes or an actual one, I flipped it. TSR-GTs to be precise. There's only 3 TSR-GTs. But, yes, that's because the suspension is stupidly soft and a bit too tall, which means that you do end up accidentally rolling the car quite a bit. There is too much suspension lean, and I do not like it. A car this quick should not be rolling around like it's a big cruise ship. It's a real shame. Just like a little bit of ice in a tub of gelato. Oh, there we go, finally rolled it. So let's see. Is it more of a corners drifter? Oh, hello. That was good drifting. Hello. Yeah, it's really good. You feel the chassis less. Not the chassis less, but the suspension problems less when you're drifting. Which means that all you're left with is a really intuitive chassis. And that's exactly what you want when you're drifting. This thing is a delight. I'm having a lot of fun behind the wheel, especially since it's no struggle to drift. You just drift forever, and then get it back far too easily when you're done. You can get some really good angles as well, and it never stops. Look at that! That was like 70 degrees of drift, and I got it back without even trying. What a stupidly fun car. Almost makes up for the suspension problems. Actually, I tell a lie. The drifting does not just make up for the suspension problems, it makes up for the suspension problems full stop. This thing is wonderful. Genuinely wonderful. And do you want to know the best part? The price. It's not 15 million, it's not 10 million. It is in fact 0 million. It's free. A free car should not be this good. And I'm going to temporarily not be an atheist right now. I pray to a higher power that I do well on this lap, because this car deserves doing justice to. This is a wonderful, wonderful car. Here we go, power down the straight. I'm actually putting in a really good lap. Brake. Oh, that was close, but just made it. Nice, actually took that corner quite well. A little bit of brakes here, so that I can get a good line. Oh, look at that. What a brilliant lap. 38.2. Do you know the best part? That was my second take of the lap, because the first take, my screen recorder broke, and I did a 37.5. What a wonderful, wonderful car. So should you get it? Should you get this Zenvo? Well, on top of the fact that it's a totally free car that you'll never be able to get if you don't get it, it also just so happens to be a really, really fucking good car. Oh, and on top of that, you get a 10% cash boost just by having it. Well, I'm putting it on display in a 50% completed Tycoon. I think that's pretty worth it. I don't know about you. So, in other words, yes, bloody get this car. You'll never get the chance to again. You'll regret it very much. It is also the most important car in CDT history, and it gives you a 10% cash boost, which, you know, everyone appreciates. So, next video, there will be a Scottish person. A person that I know in real life, and a person that you have probably known the existence of if you've ever watched one of my more recent videos, like this one. And, yeah, that's a bombshell. So, on top of that bombshell, hopefully I will see you tomorrow. If not, regular car reviews will begin again on Tuesday in Dealership Tycoon. Stay tuned for them.